way we'll run this now, we've had some great speakers. We've had a lot of different perspectives. But one of the things I learned after that PSE incident was that we owe a lot to our community, and this is one of the ways we can pay back. It's your turn. We've got the guests here. Please address questions. We're going to try and keep them down to about 2 minutes, so if you have a lot of editorial comment, try and pare that part down. I have editorial comment too, I'm sure we all do. But rather get to the questions so that we can ask any questions that people might have.
Professor Gagnon, are your slides available on the internet?
This is a new version. I'll make corrections and make sure that everything is good. I think it's pretty tight. It's going to be on Wednesday at the publishing website. Wonderful. I'll make it available to the publishing website.
I think about 2 days ago it was in the St. John paper, Mr. Bill Marshall, who's a former NB Power executive, he seems to have taken up the role of being kind of a hitman on behalf of the government. And he was, in trying to make his points, he seems to use information that's not generally available to the public. And one of the little tidbits of information he spilled the other day was that there was in fact a price being attached to the use of the interconnection into Maine, the 670 megawatt interconnection. And if I'm not mistaken, he said something of the order of $400 million would be attached to that. Of course, that's $400 million that comes off of something else. It's $400 million less for the nuclear plant, or $400 million less for the hydro plants and the diesel generators. So I'm just wondering if you've noted that and if that would be factored into things.
We were a few times. I was on a panel with Bill Marshall, including last Saturday, 2 days ago in Moncton, and Bill said that he's a paid consultant for the government on this deal. So he's pretty of privileged information. I think what he referred in those number of $40 million was, I think he referred to a transmission fee of $20 million a year for 20 years. I think that's where this $400 million number came out, so it would be the transmission rate. But me, the question that I ask is, in the absence of the details in regards to the transmission rights and transmission fees, it's not possible to evaluate if the deal is good or not. Because ideally what you want is you want transmission fees that will allow to maintain and upgrade the transmission system, but also in the longer term to increase the transmission system in the regular. But the rate structure would be important for us to be able to do that. And in the absence of the details of the deal too, it's not possible to see if we've got the right approach or not.
I just thought I might finally note one thing that people might be interested in is that I've been poking around for information, relevant information. I found that Hydro-Quebec has quite a lot of information on their website. And they have an annual survey that they do of electricity costs for different categories of customers. And I found it quite interesting that according to their most recent survey, which was done last April 1st, that the industrial rates in New Brunswick were already the second lowest in eastern North America. That's prior to this deal. That's all.
Anyway, other questions?
My question would be, I'm the guy from the Federation of Labor, by the way. So it's going to be a labor-oriented question. I know we have around 2,000 people working at NB Power. There's a number of contractors as well that get work out of that organization. Now, there's lots of talk already on the street that a lot of these contractors are going to lose that work. As well as people that are already holding management positions inside NB Power, is there any statistical data from other takeovers of this magnitude that we're going to say we're going to see a bleed from, and nothing against the people from Quebec, but New Brunswickers need work at their own province first before we go elsewhere. Those jobs are right now are held by New Brunswickers. Is there a bleeding effect that those people will get replaced and be from another province? Is there any way of doing a statistical breakdown into that?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Ron, if there is that information available. This is where we get into hypotheses, because there's been a dearth of information with respect to the employment sector. A couple of interesting points that need to be expressed, and I often have people say, well, how come the public doesn't know these things? And you know, when I look at the industries that are in the top 41, and once you get past the Irving interests and move into some others like Moosehead Breweries or Ganong chocolates themselves, you know, the actual savings to them on their electricity rates is not a large chunk of change. For example, at Moosehead Breweries, it's a $210 million operation a year. And their electricity savings are $175,000 a year. Basically, breakage in the plant over a short period of time. The ownership of Moosehead Brewery, for example, is very, very interested and a very strong supporter of the deal, not because of their ownership interest in Moosehead Breweries, but their ownership interest in other companies that are going to gain significant benefit. One of them is Emera. Emera is the private company that bought Nova Scotia Power in early 1990s. And you see, what Emera has is they have a number of assets. They're small scale, mid-scale players. They own Bangor Electric, which is a transmission company. They own St. Lucia Power. They own Bohemian Power. And it didn't get lost on me when soon after the negotiations were back on, according to Sean Graham in December, that the CEO from Emera was up in New Brunswick making public statements about what a great deal this was for them and what a great deal for New Brunswickers. And the fact of the matter is that Emera has plans of coming in, if it's sold, to subcontract the management of Belledune and Coulson Coal from Hydro-Quebec. And that then is one of those hidden factors or stresses on those who are currently employed at MB Power. So statistically, no. The MB Power employees have been told that their pension is going to be maintained. But the fact of the matter is that we're taking the responsibility and maintaining the responsibility for Hydro-Quebec employees. I heard Eve before Christmas at a presentation say that for Hydro-Quebec to acquire 2,000 employees, trained, skilled, on the job, is a huge benefit for Hydro-Quebec. Their employment status is somewhat questionable, more so under the second arranged deal.
I guess part two of the question would be some of the things that I saw inside the MOU, one and make-believe number two out there, I guess, but people from NB Power have been told they will be offered work. Now, from a labor background, that's very skeptical from me, that they already have the job. How come they're offering them?
Yeah. Ron, I've been speaking with our friends at IBEW, and they're getting more questions developed in their own mind than answers to the questions that they're asking.
I know my young fellow is doing his work from NB Power. I'm sending a lot of those questions their way.